All right, thank you, Keith. Much appreciated. Oh, and by the way, I changed the name of my presentation to Finding Your True Fans. I will try my best not to change it again by the end of this presentation, but I can't promise. So essentially, the talk is going to be about social media, but not just about social media. It's going to be more about finding your true fans and using social media as a tool to do that, so you can help grow your business. So creativity and marketing are two things that you need to develop equally if you want your creative works to be seen by the biggest audience possible. It's one thing to be creative, and I've got no doubt that everyone in this room is probably more creative and more talented at shooting 360 photos and videos than me. But what I'm good at is marketing. I mix my creativity with my marketing, and that's what leads me to getting massive exposure. So the two things you really need to consider as equal things. Don't just become a good creative, become a good marketer as well, because it does help your business. So in this presentation, I want to talk about the different types of content I post and why, and how that helps me build a profitable business that makes me money in the background, including right now as I talk. I'm making money while I'm here. My business is running online and taking care of everything for me. So for those of you who don't know me, I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook, and I teach 360 cameras, how to use them, reviews, tutorials, all that stuff. And yeah, I guess you could consider me the social media guy. That's my area of expertise. I get a little bit confused at a lot of talks that speak at a level up here that is beyond my realm of understanding, but I do know how to use social media well. So I've always been a massive strategist with everything I do. I try to life hack and get the best results possible from everything I do. I try to get more results for less work. In every area of my life, I try to do this, because there's always a smarter way to do things, a more effective way of doing things. And creativity in business is included in that. So I think of social media as a strategy game, and I've been working on my strategy for the past few years to the point that now I get a very high return on investment on my social media activity. So before you choose your marketing strategy, you should ask yourself, would you prefer $1 now or $10 a year from now? $1 now, $10 a year from now. This is the mindset of an entrepreneur or a business owner. You don't necessarily get a reward straight away. It is a long-term game to do that. But when you get to the year from now, you make $10 instead of $1. And then the year after that, you make 20. The year after that, you make 30. I'm not talking about $30, you're going to earn more than $30, but yeah, you get the point. So the short-term game, in my opinion, is getting a safe 9-to-5 job. Yeah, it's going to get you money straight away. But that's not necessarily good for you long-term when you could be upscaling your business and doing better and better each year. So the short-term game is getting a safe 9-to-5 job. Social media is the long-term game. It's not going to make you $1 today, but it will make you $10 next year. Social media gives you 10 times the opportunities as doing business without social media, and the longer you're in the game, the more the ROI increases. And for those who aren't marketing or business nerds, ROI is return on investment, so AKA your reward. So you might be thinking, what do I get out of it? Why should I use social media? Well, who here owns a business? Put your hand up. Okay, and of the people with their hands up, who wants more customers? Yes, everyone. So with social media, you have almost everyone that could potentially be your customer on planet Earth is probably on social media. That's where they are. They don't hang out in groups, like walking down the street, or they're not going to walk into your business storefront. They're on social media. That's where they are in mass. So social media is great for your customers. So that's where you find your customers. It's the largest pool of customers you can find. Next, brands. Social media is really good for brands, creating awareness around your work to get the attention of brands that then want to work with you. So once your social media gets to a certain level where you become known, and it doesn't have to be massive, but once you get to a certain level, people start knowing who you are, and they want to start sending you stuff, start sponsoring you, and brands see you as a valuable asset to them. Also, affiliate sales. An affiliate sale, for those that don't know, is when you create a unique link attached to a product. So if you send someone to a product, say it's a camera, they click your link, you get a cut of every sale. So that is a good way of monetizing social media, putting your link out there, and you're making money from it. For me, this is something that's very powerful because I affiliate sell a lot of products online, and for me, that almost provides a full-time income with that alone. I would consider that maybe, let's call it my third job. I've got lots of jobs, so I'm going to call it my third job. I would say brands is my fourth job, working with brands. Affiliate sales is my third. Okay, so massive influence. So having profiles well built online isn't about getting thousands of followers and being really popular. It's not about that. It's about having influence to help people change their lives. How good is it when you can say something or give advice and people listen and they change their life? When you can actually make a meaningful difference in people's lives, you do that by having influence, and you get influence by building your profiles on social media. You become a regular part of people's lives when you couldn't physically be there with them to influence them. Networking. This is super powerful. I remember last year when I went to the IVRPA conference, everyone was coming up to me saying, "Oh, Ben, wow, I've seen all your videos and your Instagram posts, wow." I'm like, "Wow, it's nice to meet you, John." And I realized that this was because I'd networked with them already through my social media profiles, but they hadn't networked with me back. So social media is like a virtual business card, and I'd handed my business card out already to everyone online through my social media profiles, and they hadn't handed theirs back. So it's a good way to network among your community. It's free marketing. This is the biggest one, free marketing. So when you post the content, you get attention. You want to get as much attention as you can, not to be popular, but you want to drive the attention towards your own products. I don't do any kind of traditional marketing, and my business right now earns over 6 figures alone purely through social media. I'm not spending $1. Occasionally, I'll put $50 on a Facebook ad. It's completely free, the tools I'm using, and I've built a profitable business from it. And the most important one is making your own content. Once you have all these things set up and your business model is supported by social media, you have your time back. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but my time is my most valuable asset. So now, with the majority of my time, I get to do what I want. I get to be here, get to go out and take silly photos with Peter, get to go take an extra long coffee break if I want. I get to make my own content. That's what I'm most proud of. So, did you notice? Not once did I say anything about using social media for selfies or inspirational quotes. That's not what social media is about. Might be the cliche, but no. Okay, so I see that as being 3 types of content: weekly, daily, and micro. Weekly is your best stuff, your bigger content that you put the most amount of work into. This appeals to the most amount of people since it's of the highest quality, and you get more attention to it from outside your audience than in it. Daily is your daily content. This is for your core following. You post every day if you can, if not every 2 days. And finally, there's micro content, which is a few times a day. This is only for your most diehard fans. Now, I want to show you guys exactly what each of them is and how you can use these 3 different types of content. But to achieve speedy growth on social media, you need to be posting all 3 kinds of content. So for me, this is my weekly piece of content. It's a video on YouTube, because YouTube's my main platform. It takes me a while to make a video. So daily isn't really possible to create work like this to a high standard. So that's my weekly content. For you, it could be 360 video, could be a reframe video with cool editing, or it could be an awesome panorama. It has to be your best work and be able to hold people's interest roughly for about a week, if possible. It just needs to be really good, because that's how you attract the wider audience to you and your work. Next, there's daily content. I know the idea of posting daily is scary, but it doesn't need to be your best work. You don't need to be a perfectionist with every single piece of content you do. I would say maybe for your weekly content, but your daily content, it doesn't have to be perfect. We all fall into that trap. Oh, it has to be perfect or I'm not going to post it. It needs to be good. It needs to be damn good, but not perfect. So if you can get a piece of content out every day, that will help grow your social media. Finally, there's the micro content, and that's the behind-the-scenes look at your life and your work. And For me, the biggest form of micro-content I use is Instagram stories. So Instagram stories is, for those that don't know, is on Instagram, in the top left corner, there's a little camera icon. You just press it, you open it up, and you can take a quick photo or a 10-second video. That goes to your stories, which is up the top when you browse Instagram. That's available for 24 hours for people to watch your overall story. And that's micro-content. So you can post basically as many of those as you want. But I know it sounds trivial, posting lots and lots of these silly photos and videos, but as much as we don't want to admit it, it's kind of interesting seeing that snapshot into people's lives. Like, think about someone you respect or someone you really admire, and maybe you don't have access to the behind the scenes of their life. Imagine if you could get that, even if it's stuff like them grabbing a coffee or going to the gym. Like, I've started posting gym selfies in my Instagram stories lately, but even stuff like that, or going out for a beer, but more importantly, going out shooting. That's the more fun micro content. But imagine if you had access to that person's life on an hourly basis. How cool would that be? You could learn from them, see what they do, see what their rituals and practices are. That's how you really understand someone and understand what they're doing to become successful. So there's also Facebook stories, which you can share from Instagram to Facebook. So exactly the same thing. And there's other forms of micro content, such as Snapchat. I would call live broadcasts also micro content. So if you're just walking around with the camera, you're going live, whether it's 360 or just with a regular phone, it's micro content. It's not that important, but it's still interesting and engages with people on a up to the minute level. So these can be posted a few times a day, and very little thought goes into them. Don't need to be perfect at all. It's all about the voyeuristic look at your life and what you're up to. It can be the worst photo ever, but people will appreciate it. They'll find it interesting. So don't underestimate the importance of these, since your most die-hard fans are going to be watching. And the aim is to get as many die-hard fans as you can, and they will find everything you do interesting. You can't judge yourself. Think about what you would watch on someone else's stories and post that, because the people that are fully bought into you will find that interesting, no matter how trivial you find it. So now I'm going to show you some practical examples of what I mean by these three types of content. So here we are at IVRPA 2018, having dinner the night before it started. Sorry about that weird sound. So I met Peter for the first time. Peter, right here from Little Planet. This is the first time we ever met, a year ago. And yeah, even in this short year, we've ended up becoming very close friends, and we've gone on some awesome content trips together around the world. The first one being directly after the conference last year in Tokyo. We decided to go out shooting at Shibuya Crossing with the intention of getting some cool shots while documenting our shoot in the form of a YouTube video. This was one of the funnest things I've ever done. It was so cool. We were totally geeking out. Massive 360 nerds right there. Who saw our battle video? Awesome. I like you guys. This is one of my favorite videos ever, and it turned out way better than I ever could have hoped for. And when we went out to shoot, that was really the only piece of content I was aiming to get. And if that was the only one I got, the only bit of content I got from 5 hours shooting at Shibuya Crossing, it would have been totally worth it, because that video turned out awesome. However, it wasn't. We got much more content. So, Instagram stories. These are the Instagram stories I took on this day that we went out to Shibuya Crossing. So there's 10 of them total. And again, those snapshots. There's 8 photos and 2 videos. But I've been thinking about this, and if you look at them sequentially, it's almost like a 3-act structure of a story or a movie. So we start with the establishing shot, Shibuya, Tokyo, the location tag. Then we have Peter, littleplanet.be, shooting a DSLR pano. So we introduce a character to our story. Then we see what he's doing. He's got his 6-meter pole out in the middle of Shibuya Crossing. And then the adversity comes, which is this video here, which is Shibuya Crossing, which has 1 million people cross this crossing every single day, which makes it really hard to get a good 360 photo and set up your camera. So that's the tension, the adversity in this story. And then we have a few shots in the middle, vlogging, 360 nerds. We have a new character introduced, Daniel from Colombia. And then we have Peter being very adventurous, running out into the middle of the crossing ahead of everyone. getting his awesome DSLR shot. And then the final story in this sequence is going home to edit, the ending. That's like a mini movie right there, just in little photos and videos I took on my phone. This is the micro content I was talking about, because it's a different audience to the people that are watching on YouTube, yet I'm telling the exact same story. So this is the power of shooting small, medium, and large-size content. You appeal to different audiences, even if you're telling the exact same story. But not only that did I get these stories, I got some cool Instagram posts as well. I got 4 days worth of Instagram posts here that all did quite well. Oh, and we even did an Instagram live at the very end of the shoot. We're like, you know what, let's just add one more thing to this crazy content adventure. So I did a quick 10-minute Instagram live. So 4 hours at Shibuya Crossing, we got an epic YouTube video, got 10 Instagram stories, 4 Instagram posts, and a live broadcast. This is an entire week's worth of social media posts we got in 5 hours. And you know what? Each of us did this. We all shot our own content, both big, medium, and small. Me, Peter, and Daniel, we all got it. I probably went a bit more crazy than them because like I'm the social media guy and I'm just obsessed. I can't stop shooting content. But this was only 5 hours. So your daily and weekly content doesn't literally have to be shot daily and weekly. You can shoot it all at once and release it over the course of a week. Helps to build up the archives for when you're low on content and you need something to post. Maybe 2 months from now, you're low on content, you need something to post. You go back to when you were at Shibuya or when you were in Belfast, use that shot. So every time I go out shooting, I'm thinking about getting that small, medium, and large size content. So I was recently in QATAR, just a few days ago actually, on my way over to Belfast, because I live in Sydney, and that's a long way to go in one trip. So I decided to stop in QATAR for 2 days, and yeah, that was super fun. And I couldn't just go there and be a tourist and miss hundreds of awesome content opportunities. I can't do that. That's not how my brain works. I'm like, I've got to shoot the crap out of QATAR. And I did, of course. So in QATAR, I got 1 YouTube video, got 53 Instagram stories, 10 Instagram posts, and 5 high-quality Facebook 360s in 48 hours in QATAR. Yeah, I was happy with that. This brings me to the follower funnel. This is important, the follower funnel. So let me explain what it is. So, by the way, that's my excellent Photoshop work in play there. That's 10 years of Photoshop in front of your very eyes. So if you ever need help with Photoshop, you know who to call. So this is the follower funnel. So at the top, we have everyone who sees your work. This is the wider audience of people that might find you on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. It's just everyone, and they see your work. It's your goal to try and convert those people, the wider audience, into your followers. So that's the first step down into the funnel. They become your follower, so that's kind of in the middle ground. They're aware of you, they like you enough to follow you. Good, that's a good job if you got them to follow you. But then we have one more level, and this is the more important level. So just to backtrack a sec, with everyone that sees your work, I would say, from my experience, 5 to 10% of them will convert into followers. Let's say 10. 10% of them will go from seeing your work to being your follower. And the bottom, we have your die-hard followers. So these are the people that really will follow everything you do and be the ones that ultimately convert on your products and help you grow your business. And it's your goal to create as many die-hard followers as you can. However, the numbers are also very low from followers to die-hard followers. It's, from my experience, about 2% that will turn from followers to die-hard followers, which is why having a social media following at scale puts people into the funnel so you get a smaller result at the end, but it's a worthwhile result. So, yeah, the aim is to get as many die-hard followers as you can. Die-hard followers convert much higher, from my experience, than anyone else. So, sorry. Sorry, I've just written. Okay. Yeah, so with my conversions, I found my die-hard followers to convert roughly 1 in 3 people will convert to my paid stuff, as opposed to about 1 in 100 if you're targeting someone random to push to whatever it is that you're selling. So diehard followers convert way higher than just regular people that might see your product or your service. So there's a well-known article that perfectly summarizes this mindset or this strategy that I've adopted. It's called 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. Who has heard of this article? Good, very good. Okay, this is an excellent article. It's one of the most inspirational things I've ever read, and it's not super long, but I do want to read you just a few paragraphs because I think you'll find it really useful in adapting this mindset towards helping you do better business out of your creativity. Okay, here we go. Just a few paragraphs. Okay. To be a successful creator, you don't need millions. You don't need millions of dollars or millions of customers, millions of clients or millions of fans. To make a living as a craftsperson, photographer, musician, designer, author, animator, app maker, entrepreneur, or inventor, you need only thousands of true fans. A true fan is defined as a fan that will buy anything you produce. These diehard fans will drive 200 miles to see you sing. They will buy the hardback and paperback and audible versions of your book. They will purchase your next figurine sight unseen. They will pay for the best of DVD version of your free YouTube channel. They will come to your chef's table once a month. If you have roughly 1,000 true fans like this, also known as super fans, you can make a living off of your work. Here's how the math works. You need to meet 2 criteria. First, you have to create enough each year that you can earn on average $100 profit from each true fan. That's easier to do in some arts and businesses than others, but it is a good creative challenge in every area because it's always easier and better to give your existing customers more than it is to find new fans. Second, you must have a direct relationship with your fans. That is, they must pay you directly. You get to keep all of their financial support, unlike the small % of their fees you might get from a music label, publisher, studio, retailer, or other intermediate. If you keep the full $100 of each true fan, then you only need 1,000 of them to earn $100,000 per year. That's a living for most folks. 1,000 customers is a whole lot more feasible to aim for than 1,000,000 fans. Millions of paying fans is not a realistic goal to shoot for, especially when you're starting out. But 1,000 fans is doable. You might even be able to remember 1,000 names. If you added 1 new true fan per day, it'd only take you a few years to get 1,000. The number 1,000 is not absolute. The actual number has to be adjusted for each person. If you are able to only earn $50 per year per true fan, then you need 2,000. Likewise, if you can sell something for $200 per year, you only need 500 true fans. Or you may only need $75K per year to live on, so you adjust downward. Or if you're a duet or you have a partner, then you need to multiply by 2 to get to 2,000 fans. All right, I'll stop there. You can read the full article by Googling 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. It's a very good article. You can read it in 10 minutes, but I find that super inspirational, and I go back to that at least once a year and just refresh my mind on how the whole business model works, because that's the business model right there. So you need to funnel out the true fans from the regular ones and create an environment for them to build a rapport with you and a long-lasting bond. That way, when you have a call to action, they're much more likely to trust you and follow you. If you tell them to buy something, you've already given them enough value that it doesn't seem like you're selling to them. So that's why it's really important to make them feel like you're a friend to them, because then you won't come across as a salesman. So recently I had a product launch. I relaunched my ebook, A Beginner's Guide to Tiny Planet Photography. And I'm a big fan of statistics and not just hypotheticals. I could be making this whole presentation up. Maybe I'm just a really good actor. But I'm all about statistics. I monitor everything I do, all of my business activities I monitor, so I have proof. And I had this launch last month, and it was a success, and I had hundreds of sales across the first week. Now, who wants to see my sales graph? Okay, so this is my sales graph, and these are the traffic sources of all of my sales, right? So at the top we have Twitter, YouTube, Instagram stories, and Facebook. So Facebook normally converts the best across every kind of business, because the most amount of people are on Facebook, and I did a small boost on Facebook. But what's interesting is I converted 21% of sales from Instagram stories. And only 2,000 people watch my Instagram stories, which is the smallest amount out of all 5 social networks. Only 2,000, and they converted way higher than all the others. And if you look at it, Instagram stories, and Facebook are where the micro fans are at. The die-hard true fans are on those 3 networks. Interestingly, YouTube is where I have the biggest following. I've got 52,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's not converting for me because it's the wrong kind of audience. They're not the die-hard fans. They're the top of the funnel that turn people into the die-hard fans that then go to Instagram stories, and Facebook that convert into customers for me. I found that super interesting. So, got to keep the balance. Big content, small content, medium-sized content. It puts people through the funnel so you can do business better, have more success, and grow your profile online. Do it as best you can. Try and get out those weekly posts, daily. You've also got to be realistic and know that if that's unrealistic for you, try and set a rhythm that you actually can uphold. But you need to post those 3 different kinds of content. Attract the true fans. With everything you post, you need to aim to build a bond with your audience and give value. Social media is great because you can foster thousands of relationships at once. It's so cool. Like, if I tell a story, right, say a story about me as a child, I did X, Y, Z. I don't have to say that to one person, then one person, then one person, then one person. I do it once, and everyone that's following reads this story, and they feel like I've just personally told them a story. And I'm building a relationship with them that way. It's a one-way relationship, but that's okay. That's a much smarter way to do things than telling that one story 1,000 times. Have a business plan. Again, we're not building a large following just to post selfies. No, we're doing it for business. It helps business. You need to think like an entrepreneur. How am I going to convert these customers? You need to make the process as easy as possible for people to buy, and that is by sharing yourself online, being vulnerable and being open to people seeing what you're doing and interacting with them on a social media level, which is the level they're on. Remember, it's a long-term game. Don't be discouraged if you're not getting results instantly. If instant results were possible, everyone would be doing it. Social media is a long-term game, and the rewards will be minimal to begin with. However, the longer you play the game, the more reward you get, and the easier it becomes to build a highly profitable business, which means you get your time back to do what you love most, making your own content. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. Okay, first question. Who wants to be first?
Jeffrey.
Hi, this was a fantastic talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
For sharing.
Appreciate it.
Are you, have you always been naturally an extrovert, and is this an extension of your personality, or is it hard work to do this consistently?
You seriously think I'm an extrovert?
Yes.
I'm like the biggest introvert I know. Seriously, I'm even scared to be here and be on stage, and I'm not an extrovert at all. However, I'd say you can kind of train yourself to be on camera and face the public. That can be a learned thing, but I'm a massive introvert. I'm definitely not an extrovert, but I'd say to put yourself on social media, you have to overcome that fear of talking to people and putting your face on camera.
Trey Ratcliffe said the same thing. He said he's dying inside every time he gives a photo walk. I was shocked to hear that.
All right.
It's sort of related to the last question, but I wonder, do you ever switch off from it and take breaks? It seems kind of relentless. I would find doing that utterly exhausting unless I could have time when I was not going to post anything.
Yeah, it is tough, isn't it, being consistent and posting every day. Yeah, you can take breaks, definitely. And the more you get into it, the more breaks you can take.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a month break. Like, it's unavoidable. Like, you just need space to just chill out and deal with other things. But as an entrepreneur, which is the mindset I'm coming from as I'm doing this, the mindset is work every day. Just work, work, work. And this is my work. Like, I'm pretty sure there's harder forms of work than this. I'm just doing this. Like, yeah, it's tough. it's tough to be creative sometimes, but this isn't that hard. So it's the kind of thing that you can do as you're traveling, as you're in a coffee shop. I have like the best routine ever. I'll wake up at like 9 a.m. every morning. I'll do 2 hours of work, and then I'll go for an extra long coffee break for maybe an hour. I'll go on to social media for about an hour and just respond to messages, and I'll make my post. And I get to choose my schedule, basically. So yes, you get to choose your content schedule, but it is a good idea to post as much as you can while also not overloading yourself. You need to go out and do interesting things so you can then post about it. Yeah.
Hey, Ben, thanks. You mentioned that a lot of the profit of the revenue comes from a product at the end, but you probably also have advertisers on, say, YouTube or whatnot. And if you do, what percentage is the difference between the product and the sponsorship or advertisers in that model?
Sorry, can you clarify what you mean by advertisers on YouTube?
Like if you have a sponsorship or some kind of ad comes up on, and because you can monetize those particular types of social media.
That's my worst revenue source.
Okay.
I don't rely on it at all. It's nothing. The idea of social media is to get a lot of attention, and then the way most people on social media go about it is, yeah, they monetize their YouTube channel, but that's a poor way to do it. You need to think of it like an entrepreneur and have a product to send people to, because like I said in the talk, social media is your free customer base. So when you have a product, and you do need a product if you want to convert them into sales, obviously, you've got the attention there to do that. And if you come across like you know what you're talking about, people will convert to the point that it's kind of worth doing that business model. Like if you have, say, a $100 plus product, it makes YouTube advertising seem just silly. And I still think it's silly as well. I mean, I do it actually. Who doesn't want another $1,000 a month? But
So with that, then how many, like over the last year, how many products would you say you had, or how many are you generating over the years to meet those goals?
So I release about 1 to 2 products a year. So I sell video training. So about 360. I kind of aim for about 1 a year, 1 major product a year. And I'm going to keep adding on to that. So that's my main source of monetization, is that. So it's a beautiful business model because it's a digital product and it's automated. So as I talk, like I bet you I can go into my emails now, and I found I sold a book. I sold one of my books while I was talking. So I didn't have to do anything. Like I didn't have to send someone a product. Didn't have to send an email saying, here you go, here's your product. Nothing. Like it's all automated. Digital products, I think, is the best business model ever. Yeah. Sergey, talk to me.
Ben, you mentioned that talking about the plan, small, big, weekly, and daily posts. But this is what you give to the audience. But if the audience interact with you and they are asking the questions, and sometimes they pop up a little bit more than you can answer, what do you do? Do you skip some questions? And how you do a feedback? And how much time do you spend on this? And how much time do you recommend to spend on this?
Good question. I'm still figuring that out myself. I'm at the point now where I can't message all the people that message me or comment on my content, but I try my best to. You know what I eventually do? Sometimes I just have like a full day where I respond to messages, because to me that's important. That's what furthers the relationship. If someone gets a personal response from you, they feel like you've messaged them personally like a friend would. And again, it's interacting with your audience on a friend level. So yeah, it's good to respond to as many people as you can, but at the same time, there does come a point where it becomes a waste of time doing it over and over and over. And you know what, like the number one, or the 2 questions I get most is, first one is, which 360 camera should I buy? The second one is, how do I turn on the Wi-Fi on my camera? That's when I know, okay, I probably don't need to respond to this message because they'll figure it out. So, yeah, I think you just got to be smart about how you spend your time. And if you get a question enough, if you're in a situation like me, I'll just make a video about it. So the number one question is, which 360 camera should you buy? I'll make a video. So I made one last week. And then it answers that question for hundreds of people who are going to message me. So that's why putting out content at scale with that information saves the hundreds of messages.
Okay, and if some of the, sorry, just
That's right,
continue,
yeah.
to finish that. And if some of your die-hard fans want to know about you, like maybe personal questions, or they asking about the camera, then they about the next plans, the next destinations, what they're doing now, and so on and so on. And from some time you want to stop that. So you have no time, or you don't want to answer the personal question to the person you don't know personally. Sorry so much.
Well, the
How
thing
to
is,
stop that?
by posting online, you're putting yourself in that situation to have questions asked of you. You're making a conscious decision to share your life and make it public, so people are going to ask questions, and I think you should. Like I said, it develops that bond. It's that one-on-one conversation that people appreciate. And you know what, for me, it's those people that convert as my customers. So is answering a question about how to turn on the Wi-Fi going to be worth it if they're going to buy a product from me? Yeah. Press the Wi-Fi button. Now, don't forget about that product I'm going to launch in a few months. Okay, bye. All right.
Ben, I have two
Yes.
questions. One is, do you ever hire anybody to be your voice and answer all these people? And the second question is, do you get stalkers, and how do you handle them?
Yes, I have many stalkers. So I've found it extremely difficult to outsource myself, my brain, and have someone else think like me. So also because I've branded myself as like the expert at 360, people kind of want an answer from me, and if I were to train someone up, I'd have to teach them everything I know to answer people, and that would take more time than actually answering to begin with. So unfortunately, I've not been successful in outsourcing that. With stalkers, yeah, sometimes you have to block people, or there's just really mean people with mean comments that hurt my feelings. And I eventually get over it, but yeah, there are people that are not so nice, and that's part of the territory, and it sucks sometimes, because you can get 99 good comments and one bad comment, and that sticks with you. So blocking helps, but again, that's just part of the territory. I chose this game, so I got to deal with it. I got to get over it. Just go for a walk it off. Like you can't let those people kind of affect you too much. And no one's like stalked me physically, so fingers crossed that continues.
Okay, thank you very much, Social Ben.
Thank you, Keith.